Whoa, hello, I look like a streamer or something now. Woo! So I had to set up this other camera today because we're doing a very specific thing, and this extra little scene I have over here might help you. Might give you a bit of a clue. If I fade to this, and you can see my nasty desk and this, there's a lot of dirt on. Please don't look at that. I have my journal here. Today, starting with this whole thing of having a plan and all that, we're gonna be basically getting our first level designed, which is gonna be a lot of like pen and paper stuff and researching and things like that. So the goal for today, get our first level designed, or at least like, you know, the bare bones, like basic stuff. But before we do that, we have to consult our planning sheet and stuff. So what y'all haven't seen quite yet is a lot of this stuff I've been working on, like this to-do list and thing. This is obviously not all-inclusive. There's a lot more stuff we're going to have to do, but I'm starting out simple right now. This is going to fill out more as we go, but I figured we should go ahead and start with level 1, getting like this little prologue home thing, as if you heard from the video a month ago. Ugh. If you heard from the video, I laid out kind of the story, and where the story starts is in the main character's home. We're going to put a little bit of research into a little bit kind of what homes looked like at the time, and I wanted to literally just sketch out what the home is gonna look like on paper, as well as plan out, here are the different things that need to happen inside of this level to move the story forward, right? Very first thing, I want to, if you'll see, I have a thing over here called game sections. I promise we'll figure out a name for this later for the game. I just haven't thought of a good one yet. This was done a while ago. I have this basically for the main character's home. This is like, as it says here, the general level beats and like takeaways, both story and mechanic wise, that need to happen, as well as like I was kind of writing down what a loose idea of like what the beats needed to be throughout the level. So as you can see from this, this entire the purpose of this section is story-wise, kind of set up the time era and the setting. We want to get events about the Ludlow massacre in there. Thankfully, I found some like old newspaper clippings and things like that we could easily like use and insert into this time period, and it'll work. But we also need to establish the player character's relation to like the wife and brother who were lost. We need to show that the player character is like kind of an artist, but has this aphantasia thing, not able to like visually, does not have like a visual world in his mind. Which is prohibiting him from drawing the faces of the people, of the loved ones he lost, his brother and his wife. And as much as we can, showing that the player character, like, he's in a kind of like a bad emotional state, and he's not doing good. He's struggling to move on. He gotta move on. Mechanics wise, this is introducing very basic movement and control things like, you know, WSD keys for moving around, looking around with the mouse. And this is also where we're going to get our first instance of clicking on objects to like kind of move them around and inspect them, looking at documents, yeah, interacting with certain things in the world, which for this prologue level, there's not like a big puzzle thing happening here, as far as I know yet. But I think I have an idea of like what we could use for this, so we'll figure it out. Yeah, so these are kind of like the main things that need to happen in this section of the game. Now, with this, we kind of get the benefit that the outside around the main character's home is not shown at all, so we don't have to go into super detail about exactly what town he's living in. Anything like that. I'm going to be more concerned with the future game about making things very like time period specific and all that stuff, but for this one I just want to get like a general idea going so we can move along, because I don't want to get bogged down in too many details with this one. It's very much like a character kind of driven story that's just like it gets in and gets out, so I'm not going to worry too much about all the weird finicky stuff. Anyway, seeing that this is the main character's home, and you know, we need to get these things happening. I want to make sure as much as possible it is very simple, like design wise, like as I show here, there's a very simple home, just one room, front door, a couple windows leaking in sunlight. He's gonna have a desk, he's gonna have a bed, he's gonna have like a small little kitchenette thing with a wood burning stove. That's the idea. So I literally would just want to look up really fast what there's like a little bit of research. What is this? There's a Pomodoro timer. That's crazy. Anyway, I just want to research a little bit about what homes in this era kind of looked like, because I just want like a very basic idea. That being said, like I said, we're not going to get super into the weeds on it. Let's go to our master to do. We can bring up the board view and let's research small homes in 1914 and layout. Boom. So let's look up like, I don't know, we'll start like Western home US early 1900s archive photos, but yeah, let's look up something like this. Loveproperty.com. Wonderful. Because this is the kind of like stuff I figured. I wish they invented wide angle lenses back then, because damn. Oh, this is a ranch house, so we're not gonna have like a ranch house. I think in my mind this like the characters in like a very small little town in Colorado somewhere, like in kind of like maybe the eastern side of Colorado, and that like area is very much plains and open fields and things like that. There's a few towns over there at this time, so something like this. Granted, not in Manhattan, Nevada, but like a small town like this. If you played Red Dead Redemption in like the little town of like, oh my god, what is it called? Valentine. It's Valentine. This is the kind of town I'm like imagining our character being in, so it's like not super populated or whatever. And we're gonna stick with the log cabin kind of thing. United States and Canada. But yeah, I think this is kind of the idea. Like, this is kind of the idea that we're going for. Probably a few more windows, which wouldn't make sense for the location, because especially in Colorado, it will get cold and you want to be more insulated during the winters. However, it looked better with more windows. This like little shot from the inside is most helpful. Kind of having like this fire pit, I guess, and like the work table and stuff. I don't know why in my head I thought like the place would look a lot more sophisticated. Obviously it wouldn't. Like if you're poor around this time, you're probably not gonna have like a stove and everything and like a little kitchenette. You're probably gonna have like a fireplace with a pot. Yeah, I think this is a good starting point. And cut. Oh, wait, hold on, we can make that fancier, hold on. Now it's time to go to desktop zone. Nice. Hello, like I said, don't look at my extremely, I'll just put that there. Look at my extremely, everything's dirty. I know I need to wash everything. This keyboard's a mess and breaking, but it's fine. So hold on, the radiator just kicked on in my apartment and I have to wait for it to stop making banging sounds, as you can hear in the background probably. So like I said, we're going for kind of like points we want to keep in mind for this is that it's going to be like kind of like I said, a single room cabin, and the layout's gonna be very basic, like fireplace, pot. We got our like straw bed, I assume. Probably like, imagine like, it'd be like a couple desks, because we do have like an artist guy, a kitchen quote unquote table, because from the pictures we just saw, like I don't imagine they have like a whole lot of stuff going on for kitchening. I'm trying to like just literally write down like kind of the furniture, what the furniture is gonna be. Drawings and stuff on the walls. Be like landscape stuff. Just keep in mind this guy has aphantasia, so he's only gonna be able to draw things that he can like look at, that he's like directly can see. I mean, I guess while we're here we might as well note down single small door. A lot of these places had very small doors. I don't know if you've ever seen like an old log cabin. I saw several of them like when I lived in Colorado and like was hiking around. And a lot of them have like very small like squat doors. That's better for keeping things insulated. So you kind of have to like duck down a little bit to go inside. It's going to be several windows because, like I said, they wouldn't actually have like so many windows in these places because they want to keep it insulated. However, more natural lighting would be good. So I was just like writing down like the general vibe of like different things we're gonna need in here. I hope this camera is serving its purpose. I hope you can see things well enough. I will try to get a better setup later when I'm not extremely poor, much like this man will be, so that's gonna be good. Yeah, so I think like layout wise we want like a very, like I said, simple, like kind of rectangular thing going on. I have this grid paper, it's like perfect for something like this. One thing I see in a lot of little small indie games is they make a home and they make too large of a home, first of all, and then a lot of it's barren because they don't have like a lot of stuff to put in it. And, you know, like if it serves the purpose, that's fine. But what they often don't think about, I come from a film background, so I'm thinking about like how we're thinking a lot about like framing things. And I'm trying to like look at like, for instance, where would the best place to put a desk be in this kind of environment? Like, because normally, like I have right here, I would have my desk like, say there, yeah, I would have like a desk face or like sitting against the wall and stuff. That being said, I think layout wise, it works a lot better, or sorry, looks wise, I should say, if we have like the desk kind of facing out like this way, facing the rest of the cabin, so we can have like sightline of the entire thing. So if we're starting our character off sitting at the desk, reading like, you know, reading the newspaper and all that kind of stuff, it helps to kind of establish, you know, we're reading a thing and maybe like the paper lowers and now we can see the entire like place like in front of us. So I'm trying to think about like those things, how best to present the space, I think. Keeping in mind, like I said, I'm coming from like a film background and this is just how I think of it. Yeah, as far like I understand, like once we actually set it up and start putting things in place, it's going to be a lot different. Oh, and the reason, especially when with the desk here, because like obviously it's more visually interesting to be looking out at everything all at once. You know, getting like the full, like picturing like the full scene from the outset, kind of like, you know, like an establishing shot of sorts. But and I forgot what I was going to say. So never mind. But on this note, I also want to think about where we're putting doors, or like I say doors, the single door and windows, because the windows, especially if they're going to be like a big source of lighting, the windows are going to be important. Granted, we can obviously, when we get into the engine itself and start like moving and like actually putting the house together and moving things around, it's going to be different. But I think we can start out with a good idea here, keeping in mind like the different stuff we need this room to do. I have the door kind of in the center here. In this area, so we're gonna have our door. So what I'm thinking about right now, so yeah, like the door's gonna be in the center. I think it makes sense to, from what I've seen like from some of these pictures that we were looking at a minute ago, like this is the one I'm kind of like keeping in mind when I'm like doing this, having like the, you know, the fireplace like kind of stands on like one wall of the cabin and stuff. So do that. The picture I'm looking at here kind of has the fireplace like inset like in the wall, which I think I'm still gonna do like a little bit, but I'm gonna have it like protrude a little bit. I think I'm gonna have it a little protrude a little bit. I don't have exactly a good reason for it, other than I think it'll look interesting. Like I said, this will kind of be the fireplace. Oh my god, I'm running out of room to write, but that's like that's the idea. Yeah, this will be our little fireplace. So yeah, we're going to have like a little fire going on here. So what if we have all the logs stored kind of here? So we have like our, whoops, that's not an L. That's not how that letter works. That's not how that letter works at all. Logs. And I like the idea, I think, of having our, if we erase this real fast, we're gonna have like another like table here. And this is gonna be like kind of like main kind of kitchen table thing, I think. We put like a nice little stool right there, chair, something in front of the fireplace. This is the chair. Imagine this is a chair, and that's what that is. Imagine I can draw properly, and this is a chair. Actually, that looks like a decent chair. Never mind. I can draw amazing. Don't mind me. And I like having, like, you know, maybe I'll have his little bed over here, too. Next to the fire. Keep him cozy. That creates a fire hazard, but, you know, the guy's not doing great anyways, so maybe he doesn't care if he catches on fire in the middle of the night. This will be the bed. Buckets. We need buckets. There needs to be buckets for the fire. This is also where we're going to be making our coffee, probably. Actually, the coffee thing is starting to not look, with this layout, not look as doable as I thought it'd be. So here's like a thing I'm trying to, whoops, wrong thing. Here's the thing I'm trying to kind of like, oh my god. With this game, mechanics-wise, I am avoiding an inventory, like, entirely. The only thing that's going to be in your inventory in, like, this specific game is the letter that you get from the late wife that passed away. And that's the only thing that's going to be in your inventory that you can look at whenever. Otherwise, object-wise, there is going to be absolutely nothing in your inventory, and I very want to make sure it stays that way. So what I was thinking of tutorial-wise for object interaction stuff, because this is where we're introducing like object interactions and things like that. Well, I was thinking of like it would be a nice tutorial would be to like make some coffee, where you get the kettle and stuff, and you like put it over the fire, and you're like boiling water in the kettle and all that. But I'm trying to find a way to do it. Right, I keep trying to like think of a way to do it that doesn't involve having to pick up the kettle, move it to the side, or put it on like, you know, above the fire. And then you also have to like open it and you have to fill it with water and all that kind of stuff, because now we're dealing with like an inventory system, which that's not going to be anywhere else in the game. That's going to give a very bad idea of like what we're doing here. The more I think about it, I think we're going to have to scrap the coffee idea. You know, story-wise, it might help. We're going to come back to it. I think it would be good to make some kind of like miniature puzzle, something that's like not too difficult, very much about object, like just interacting with objects and things like that, to get the game started. And the more we can make that puzzle related to the character in some kind of way, I think will be very helpful. Because coffee, first of all, with the object interaction system I have in mind, it's not going to work. But also, it doesn't really say anything about the character other than he likes coffee or drinks coffee, which is just about anyone, which is me right now. So I think we can do something more interesting there. I don't know what it'd be right now. We'll put a pin in it. I wrote it down as a note. We'll come back to it later. But for right now, let's see what else we can get here. Back to this. I have an idea. I think some like big old chest at the end of the bed for like clothing and things like that. Bed's nice to stay nice and cozy next to the fire. We got a chair. We got our water buckets over here. Our desk here. So like I said, our I think we can make the desk. We can afford to make that. I was just writing or drawing this earlier as a demonstration, but I do like the location of it. We can afford to make our desk a bit larger, a little bit longer. Going out into the space more. Yeah, something like that. And what am I missing? Because the restroom wouldn't have been here. You'd be going to like an outhouse that's located on the outside of the thing. I'm struggling with this space right here because there's not like a lot of stuff that let me consult our thing right here real fast. But I'm trying to like double check if there's anything I'm missing, because like as far as like living wise, because these things like it's gonna be like fairly basic. And then over here, okay, so this kind of fills this area out a little bit. Over here in this corner, I think, so we have like a desk here, and I think this makes sense to be kind of like an artist's corner, kind of thing, where he's holding, like he's hanging up a lot of his pictures. So a wall here. We'll just call it an art wall for now. But I'm just kind of like getting the basic idea out. Some kind of like art wall. He makes art and he puts it on a wall. Can you imagine? Table here. That's a table. We have an easel. I can't remember how to spell easel. Okay, I was correct. We have an easel here. And then another like smaller like chair and like a little small writing desk, like a little drawing desk. Yeah, chair and desk for like putting, and we can put like something on the table here, like some fruit kind of stuff, and then we're gonna have like all this over here, and then we'll have another table off to the side here for like, so this is gonna be kind of like an art supply drawer. So this kind of fills out like this into the cabin over here more. And I like the idea of putting like a little end table here of some kind. Okay, so I think this works pretty damn well. We can put it like, we can figure out something like to put over here. But I think this layout works. So let me kind of like take you what I'm thinking about with this. So if we put the if we put the little player start right here and we're reading this note, we're sitting at the desk, we start looking at the note and everything, and then the note goes down and the entire like the whole front of the cabin here like kind of opens up to us. And so it kind of like very quickly establishes the setting that we're in some kind of like Old West kind of log cabin in the United States somewhere. And we see like a lot of the basics for like our little kitchen table, our log storage, fireplace, bed, chest, like things like that. And then we turn, you know, we're sitting at a desk and then we turn to the left, and then it reveals this is like a pretty like a nice little Old West cabin and everything, but this one has a bit more character because of all this art stuff and art supplies and like charcoal, as well as like some small paints and, you know, stuff over on the side here with this little table for fruit or for like, you know, propping things up for when he's drawing over here at either the easel or at the desk. Layout wise, when I'm thinking about like where we're putting literally our character or our player's vision like throughout this whole thing, I think this works really well. So that's the basic idea. Obviously I think there's more stuff we can put here. I mean, we can have like a rug. In these kinds of places you would have like rugs out the wazoo and furs and things to like keep the place warm, but we can do more with that later. So I think this works as a very good general layout. Things I'm thinking about. So next time, things we're still missing. I want to get like this puzzle we do at the very start of the game, because making the coffee, like the more I think about it, because I don't want the gameplay to have any inventory stuff other than the single letter that you keep with you. Making coffee would not work with that, because you have to pick up the kettle, put water in it, put it onto the fire, let it do its thing, pick up the kettle again, pour it into the, like, you know, the filter, or like whatever. It's just not, that's not going to work. But I think we can still do something more interesting with the starting puzzle anyway that incorporates like our character a bit more. Maybe he made a mess or like in some kind of drunken stupor or whatever, and we have to like find a way to get out, literally access the door or something. I don't know. Could be any number of things, but the more things we can make character driven at the start, the better. We have a lot of kind of context and background we need to get the player up to speed with from the outset, a bit more than usual for like such a small story like this, and as much as we can possibly pack into the environment as well as our interactions and like gameplay without having to explicitly state anything, the better. I want to think about also papers and different things that are going to be here. I want to think about the like letters, newspapers, like maybe there's like an obituary something or somewhere, because that's going to be also difficult establishing that the main character's wife and brother have passed, and how that connects to like this whole like, you know, Ludlow massacre thing that idea that I stated at the start. We're gonna get like these detail things like figured out next time, and then after that, then I think we can like start actually getting into the engine and start like blocking all this stuff out. That's good progress for today. This is good. I think this is great. This is working out. I think my decision to make sure like I include like things like this in like the videos and stuff was extremely good, because like I said in the last video, being in the engine and doing coding and all that kind of stuff is flashy and it's what a lot of people think of, but this all right here is also game development. This is all game design. I'm literally like designing like what's the first level going to look like, and kind of like coming at it from a perspective, what are we trying to accomplish with this level? What do we need it to do? What's the purpose of this? And like, how is the player going to move around this space? Like framing wise, how are we going to reveal stuff and like, you know, things like that. Anyway, I think this is a fantastic start so far. So yeah, I'm going to end this one there. Thank you very much for watching. I'm probably not going to have the camera set up like this every single time. I just needed to figure out some kind of setup or like dual camera setup, because like, you know, trying to write everything in here, like getting my face as well as this at the same time was important. Thank you very much for watching. I sincerely appreciate it. I will see you next time when we start figuring out the last little details and things of the first level. I think we actually made like a lot of progress and got a lot further than I thought we would. So like it's almost done design wise. I think it's just figuring out that one puzzle and like I said, some of like the detail stuff. A few housekeeping things for those who are interested. October was insanely busy, as was September actually, but October especially so. The first 2 weeks were madness of like visiting and saying hello to many different friends and all this stuff, and then I was filming a documentary for 2 weeks that I just got back from earlier last week, and so it was absolute chaos and madness, and there is so much stuff going on. However, things have now calmed down, so hopefully you will be seeing more of these videos coming out more frequently, because I want to get back to this project and I'm really enjoying it, especially where it's like going so far, and I actually want to make some like actual progress. So yeah, usually I would have commentary, but the only comment that was left on the last video was from our boy Oliver Dive 9759, who said welcome back, and then I was gone for a whole month. So thank you Oliver Dive for sticking this one out. I appreciate it. And like I said, hopefully we'll the idea is to get these out like a bit faster and everything now that I have like actual more dedicated time for it. How am I gonna end this video? Maybe I just won't.